Hello, everyone. Brother Al McClain with this week's stewardship video. And before we go too far, as always, let's read the disclaimer. No advice should be seen as a recommendation or endorsements. I am not a licensed financial advisor, and this is for educational purposes only. Please do your own research. If you have a financial advisor or a registered investment advisor, that's what they're there for. Make specific recommendations. Now, hopefully, you are staying safe if you're in the DFW area, Dallas Fort Worth, because we've had a cold spell come through as well as sleet, rain, and snow. They're saying that we will stay below freezing this weekend into possibly Tuesday morning. So hopefully you're staying warm, but it did prompt me and inspire me on this week's stewardship video. And it's called Precautions. You can see the slide I have up on the left. That's the Texas Department of Transportation, and they're treating the surfaces with brine, I think is the chemical, and salts kind of mixture on the roads. They were pre-treating them on Wednesday, which was before 2 or 3 days before we were due to get the weather. The weather was going to be coming in on Friday night, and it did come in late Friday night, mainly Saturday, Sunday, and now, as I said, won't go up to above freezing, we're being told, until Tuesday. But they started as a precaution, even if it didn't come in, they started sanding, prepositioning trucks, uh, spinning up their crisis centers, their operational centers. Different nonprofits were opening up warming stations for the homeless. So, and then you can see over here to the right, people, individuals, including my wife Janine and I, we started getting groceries. We wanted to make sure our tanks were full of our car. So we were taking precaution because we saw danger ahead. We saw a particular that it could be a crisis as we went through years ago with the grid and when we were iced in for about a week. So Proverbs 27 and 12 in the New Living Translation says, a prudent person foresees danger and takes precautions. The simpleton goes blindly on and suffers the consequences. Take a look at it in the Message Bible. The Message Bible says, a prudent person sees trouble coming and ducks. A simpleton walks in blindly and is clobbered. And you can see over here to the left, it did come in, right? So we had iced over roads and potential power lines snapping, and there were people without power. There were people who actually bought generators because they went through the snowmageddon before. Uh, and this made me think about an emergency fund. That's our prudent way of foreseeing trouble. It's not a matter of when something or if something's going to happen. It's actually when it will happen, right? We know that we're going to go through some emergency. It could be a job loss, could be that a flat tire, but eventually that emergency fund will be truly for emergencies. You may define them only as medical and maybe job loss, because eventually in your spending plan or your budget, you can put a line item for car repairs. You can put a line item for household repairs. If that water heater goes out or that air conditioner goes out, you can have a line item where each month you're putting away and leaving that amount alone, not using it for Christmas or for a sale or anything like that. You have it there. That'll begin your emergency fund. And then eventually, as I said, you can have a true emergency fund where it's 3 to 6 months expenses if you lose your employment. So here's Dave Ramsey talking about the emergency fund.
What type of account do you recommend for Baby Step One's emergency fund? William says on Twitter. Baby Step One is $1,000 saved, William. It really doesn't matter what kind of account you put it in. It's not going to make any money. There's no such thing as a 10% account on $1,000. You can put it in a money market if you want, and you're going to make 1%. We're talking about $10 a year. So I don't care if you even put it in an account, is my point. I don't care if you keep it in the sock drawer. The downside of keeping it on the sock drawer is you might think the pizza man at the front door is an emergency, and he's not. So you need to be careful about how you define emergency. This is just to be used for emergencies. The emergency fund is not about making money. It's insurance to keep you from cashing out or going into debt, cashing out stuff you shouldn't have to cash out. And so insurance doesn't make you money. Insurance costs you money to protect things that make you money. And that's the best way to look at your emergency fund. When I finally got $1,000 and then I finally got $10,000 and it was all I had, I was all concerned that it needed to work really hard. And I started realizing that it's not going to work hard when it's in an emergency fund. And so then I wanted to start investing my emergency fund. Well, that's a dumb idea because by definition, an emergency fund needs to be easy to access, what we financial people call liquid. And so you have to set that aside. Baby step one is $1,000 saved. Two is pay off all your debts except your home using the debt snowball where you list your debts, smallest to largest, and pay them off in that order with great focused intensity. Once you're out of debt, then you go accept your home, then you go back to the $1,000 account in baby step three and raise it up to a fully funded emergency fund of 3 to 6 months of expenses. You need to run like your hair's on fire until you get those 3 steps done. When you don't have any payments but a house payment and you have your emergency fund, that's a foundational place to begin to build wealth. Stop acting rich. That's what it comes down to. Quit acting like you're something you're not. You don't have any stinking money. Act like a broke person. Why? It's easy. You're a broke person. You make 60 or 90 or 160 a year and you got nothing. Nothing. No money. Payments coming out your ears, out of control, strutting around acting like you're something. In Texas, they call that big hat, no cattle. Stop it. It's time to lay these basic steps out and lay into them and say, that's it. I'm tired of being broke. I worked too stinking hard to be this broke. What type?
So there's the emergency fund and being a prudent person. There's the steps of building it up. And the idea is, as Dave said, the pizza person, and that's almost because I love me some pizza. Um, is not an emergency. So with that, let's start looking at this week's anticipated earnings for the week of January 26th. We have a good, I mean, we started off with the financials. We had a couple last week that were kind of significant, but this week is full. All types, all sectors. We've got Baker Hughes, and this is going to come up later. This is in the energy sector. So that's going to come up later. So kind of mark that. We've got Boeing. We've got United Healthcare Group. We've got General Motors. We've got Texas Instruments. We've got American Airlines, Northrop Grumman. We've got Microsoft. That's a big one. Meta, which is the old Facebook, right? Tesla. I'm going to be paying attention to that because I have some Tesla positions. Again, that's not a recommendation. You look at your specific situation to see what's going on. If you should be investing in that, we got MasterCard. We got Caterpillar, Visa. So the market is going to be all over this and moving all around. There's going to be volatility all next week. Starbucks, I feel like I keep that stock up. As I said previously, by itself before I start doing my purge on that. Waste management, all of these have been things we've talked about actually before. So there is a lot of earnings. It's going to be an interesting week, the week of the 26th. So remember, I talked about Baker Hughes. Uh, Here is the year to date of so far. I mean, this is short years, only been about 3 weeks into 2026 year to date. Overall, S&P is up, Standard & Poor's up 1.1%. But here are the specific areas. Here's energy, second leading group for this year, up 10% just this year alone. And that Baker Hughes is part of that energy group. So remember, we're going to look at XLE using that stock analysis, crack that open and see the companies that are in that exchange traded fund. And then the other one is 10.2%. That's in the materials area, XLB. So this is year to date. Let's crack these open. By going out to stockanalysis.com. You can put the symbol in and it'll give you like the weighting and what companies are in there. So you can either just invest in the XLB, again, not a recommendation, which is materials, or XLE, which is energy. Again, not a recommendation. Or you can look at these individual companies and say, I'm going to buy shares of that. Or you can do, as we always talk about, Fidelity has those fractional shares, and Charles Schwab has slices. And then my wife, Janine, she uses, I think, Cash App has an ability to do it in like slices. In other words, just dollar amounts, whatever dollar amounts you have, so you'll be buying a fractional share, or you can go out and buy whole shares. So here is the materials, Newmont Corporation and Freeport Macron. I know those companies. Some of these I don't know. I know Sherwin-Williams. I know Nucor. That's steel. So these are the materials, and it makes sense because a lot of emphasis was being put on by the administration to build factories here, and you need materials for factories, right? Here's XLE. Here's energy. Leading its Exxon, Chevron. Now Chevron's been in the news. They have present drilling activity in Venezuela. They have the most. These other companies may get involved. I don't know, but we know Chevron right now has assets in Venezuela. Here's Kinder Morgan. This is going to come up later next week because I believe it says the same. I'm going to do a precautions too uh video because there's a lot of other material. I didn't want to put it all in here to make a video too long, but this is natural gas. And this came up, and the reason why I was thinking of energy during the winter months, you need diesel, you need natural gas, you need electricity, during those times, especially we have the unusual winter cold spell, right? And there's Baker Hughes, what I was telling you earlier, they're reporting earnings. So here's Kinder Moran or Morgan, which is, if you didn't know about it, you just go out to stockanalysis.com, put in this symbol KMI, and this is what it does. Here it is. It's the symbol on New York Stock Exchange, operates energy infrastructure company primarily in North America. The natural gas pipeline segment owns and operates interstate, interstate, neutral gas pipelines. So Kinder Morgan. That could be an energy play in the area of natural gas. Again, not a recommendation, but to spark your paradigm into thinking this way. All right, let's close out as we always look at the the broader market. QQQ is mainly technology focused, smaller companies. And you can see basically we've been in a channel, and I drew this box here. Hopefully you can see it. Now this is um, think back. I have to put some notes on this. This is back in on 10/29, October 29th, through the present close of January 21st. I'm sorry, June 23rd is when we close. And so you can see the high was 635, $35.77. We close on January 23rd at $621. So that's the swing we had in QQQ. But if you look at it from this year on, which is what this line is, basically unchanged. All this up and down, kind of staying in this channel. So this channel represents a $635 to $621 swing back and forth. Uh, so that's QQQ. Same thing for SPY. It's in a channel all the way back since October, same date, 29th of last year, up until January 23rd. So this swing goes from like $685 low here to like $688.63. So not, I mean, much more tighter channel from October up to January. So with that, that's this week's stewardship video. I'm thinking of doing another one called Precautions, where we may look more at that natural gas as an opportunity because of the cold weather. And it looks like this week in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, our high is going to be like 45 or 49. I've been told that's not going to happen till Wednesday. So with that, that's this week's stewardship video. As we always say, remember, Jesus is Lord, but we play that faithful role of being his faithful steward, managing the resources that he's provided for us and sustains for us. So we also, as Pastor Denny Dwight Davis says, keep a good spirit and have a yabba dabba do good time this week. We'll see you next week, stewardship video.